Atiku has a very good following in Lagos State as well. So he has a strong presence in Lagos State. He's well liked in Lagos State. So a good number of votes will go towards Atiku in. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now, in this video, we're going to be going back to the Nigerian political landscape because that is where the excitement is at the moment, and we'll be focusing on the presidential election, of course, which is coming up sometime this month on the 16th of February. So we're focusing on that, and in this video, we're going to be looking at the numbers that are going to come into play for that election. So we're going to be looking at the numbers, that is the numbers of registered voters, etc., and how that is going to come into play. And we're going to be looking at these numbers as it pertains to the two front runners in the elections, because as much as some of us would love to see Omoyele Sowore win that presidency, the two most likely candidates as it stands within the Nigerian ways of doing things are likely to be Atiku or Buhari. So those are the two front runners, with Omoyele Sowore chasing hard. So we're going to be looking at the numbers, and we're going to be applying those numbers to these two front-running candidates of Atiku and Buhari. So now, before we carry on, let us first go through those numbers. So this might be the boring bit, so just bear with me, but you need to have the numbers in order to have an understanding of what is going to happen. So I'm going to read you the numbers now so that you have them, and then after having read them, then we shall go through those numbers and see how they apply. So here are the numbers. So this is Abia State. It's got 1.5 million registered voters. Adamawa State has 1.7 million registered voters, and those are approximate figures, by the way. Akwa Ibom, 1.8 million approximate registered voters. Anambra State, 2 million approximate registered voters. Bauchi State, 2.1 million approximate. Let's just round that off to 2.2 because it's 2.19. So 2.2 million approximate registered voters for Bauchi State. Bayelsa State, 754,000 registered voters there. Benue State, 2.1 million. Borno State, 2 million. Cross River State, 1.3 million. Delta State, Delta State 2.5 million. Ebonyi State, 1.7 million. Edo State, 1.8 million. Ekiti State, 842,000. Enugu State, 1 million. Gombe State, 1 million. Imo State, 1.9 million. Jigawa State, 1.9 million. Kaduna State, 3 million. Kano State, now this is where the big numbers come in. So note this. Kano State, and I'll read this out in full to you. Kano State, as at the time these figures were collated, had 5,149,070 people registered to vote. So this is as at the time that these numbers were collated. So Katsina State, that's the president's state, it has an alleged 2.9 million registered voters. Kebbi State, 1 million. Kwara State, 1.2 million. Lagos State, now this is where another big figure comes in, so you need to make note of this as well. 6,048,156. That's the figure for Lagos State. So just over 6 million. Nasarawa State, 1.3 million. Niger State, 2.1 million. Ogun State, 1.9 million. Ondo State, 1.5 million. Osun State, 1.5 million. Oyo State, 2.5 million. Plateau State, 1.5 million. River State, 2.7 million. Sokoto State has just over 1 million people there. I thought actually it had a bigger number than that. That surprises me. Sokoto State, just over 1 million people registered to vote. Taraba State, 1.2 million. Zamfara, 2.6 million, I'll round it off to. So 2.6 million registered voters for Zamfara State. And of course for Abuja, we have 952,000 people approximately registered to vote there. So that brings up a total number of registered voters with INEC to a sum of 73,995,765 people. So those are the numbers for the registered voters for Nigeria, and just a rough breakdown of them. In the North Central, 10.5 million. In the Northeast, just under 10 million. In the Northwest, 18.5 million. In the Southeast, 18.2 million. In the South-South, 11.1 million. And in the Southwest, 14.6 million. So that's the breakdown of the numbers there. Now, how do those numbers apply, and what do we read into them, or what do we take out of them to then use as a permutation? How do they permutate to help us project and predict the likely winners, or the likely winner rather, of the Nigerian upcoming presidential election? So now let's look at those figures again in chunks. So I'm not going to read them through again, so don't switch off, but let's just see how they apply. Now for the South, for the Igbo states, let's put it that way, for the southeast, now the figures are quite interesting. So they have a chunk, they have 8.2 million voters up for grabs there. Now the breakdown of those 8.2 million people, how would they gravitate and where would they gravitate? Now you would remember that the Igbo states had the IPOB with the Nnamdi Kanu thing, where the soldiers were sent to shoot them up with the IPOB, and the IPOB started, of course, because they felt marginalized and they felt the need to agitate. And we all know that the Buhari regime has no room for an Igbo official within their government. It's an Igbo virtually an Igbo-free government, and the Igbo, of course, will tell you that they are 100% members of that country and they want representation too. So really, who would they give their votes to? Buhari, a non-tribalist and a jingoist, or Atiku, a pan-Nigerian person who has relationships right across the breadth of the country? So we can assume that the chunk of the southeast vote will go to Atiku. So Atiku would get the southeast. So now the south-south, where would the votes of the south-south go? So I am going to the north. So where would the vote of the south-south go? Well, the south-south, you would remember that their son was the former president that was relieved of his post by Buhari under a very controversial election. So I'm sure they're still smarting from that defeat, and I'm sure the marginalization that is being felt by the Igbos is also being echoed there too. And I'm sure Goodluck Jonathan would have spoken to his people and said, look, we have to go in the direction of my lead. So the south-south, we would say, weighs towards Article 2. So now let's go to the southwest. Now this is a very interesting play because this is where big numbers are. So now in the southwest, the marquee, the big fish, the big prize within the southwest, of course, is Lagos State. And Lagos State we know belongs to Tinubu, and Tinubu of course belongs to APC, and APC is the Buhari party. So you'd think that the swing for Lagos State will go to Tinubu and will go to APC, and you would be right, but not completely, because the swing in Lagos State is not going to be going wholly and solely to Tinubu and APC, because Atiku has a very good following in Lagos State as well. So he has a strong presence in Lagos State. He's well liked in Lagos State. So a good number of votes will go towards Atiku in Lagos State. And Lagos State is the base central for the Take It Back movement, which is the Sowore movement. So a large number of that Lagos vote will go towards Sowore as well, because of course Lagos is the center of enlightenment in Nigeria. That is where the the educationists, that is where the young populations are, that is where the thinkers are, and anybody that is a thinker, that is off thinking, would not want to go with Buhari, first of all, absolutely not, and then will be a bit hesitant to go with Atiku, and it might well say, oh, damn the both of them, and go with Sowore instead, and there'll be a lot of damn the both of them votes going to Sowore in Lagos as well. So that cuts into that as well, and then there'll be votes to other parties as well, obviously. So that vote that is going to APC, to Tinubu in Lagos State, they're not wholly and solely all of that 6-point-something million that is going to him. So it's going to be split, but the majority of it will go with Tinubu, and that is assuming, by the way, that Tinubu goes fully with Buhari, because Tinubu is a man of his own mind, and we don't really know what direction he's going to sway, but he will go with his party, because I'm thinking he has the ambition of replacing Buhari when Buhari leaves and when the power has to come back to the south. So he has that long game plan, so that might well hold him still within that party, and he of course would have to show his strength still by delivering Lagos State. So the chunk of the votes in Lagos State will go to APC and to Tinubu, but not all of the votes in Lagos State will go into the APC and go towards Tinubu. So the real play in Lagos is what percentage of the votes can PDP and Sowore cut away from Tinubu, because if they are able to cut a sizable chunk of the Tinubu votes away from him through their movement and their campaigning and agitating, if they're able to cut a huge chunk of that Tinubu vote away from the APC in Lagos State, and that will be a huge cut into the power base, into what they are relying on, what the APC is relying on as their surety. So the real play in Lagos. Now, in all the other southern states, a lot of them will really deliver for APC, even though there'll be a fight there. We know Ekiti will deliver, because obviously they rigged the Ekiti election for Fayemi, and he has to deliver. We know that Ogun State will deliver, because obviously a PDP won it. They said no and put an APC man there, so, and they put him there only to go do one job, to go deliver the state. So they'll get all these little pockets as well. But then the Yorubas are known for being independent-minded, and a lot of them will go with their conscience, and a lot of votes also, to digress, will go with the state of the nation, because the Nigerian state is in a perilous state at the moment. Is in the worst state that it has ever been since its existence as a nation. People are suffering from poverty, the suicide rate. Nigerians are one of the people that love life the most, and a Nigerian will say the last thing the Nigerian will want to do is take his own life. The Yorubas are known very well known for the Egbamio. Even in the north, they are a bit more, you know, they are willing to make that sacrifice for belief, to throw their life to their belief. But especially in the south, especially in Yoruba land, the Yoruba person is not going to give up his life for anybody or anything. But now the suicide rates in that Yoruba land, it now tells you exactly, is a good barometer for measuring what is going on in that country. Because for a Yoruba person to commit suicide, that means life has reached finality for him, literally, of course. So now the situation in the country is so dire that the food has gone up by like about 150% or something. The currency has virtually collapsed. It's on life support. There's killings everywhere. There's kidnappings. People have been brutalized. Girls are using their body in ways that they shouldn't, you know, just to keep ends meet. So it's a real dire situation, and this real situation that people find themselves in, they of course would look to the government. So those days are saying APC 16 years old, or rather PDP 16 years, PDP 16 years. I don't think that argument is going to wash too much anymore with people now. So a lot of those state of the nation votes as well will go against Buhari. So it's a real play there. So now we've gone through the southeast, the south, and the southwest. So now let's go to the north central. Now the north central is a real core Buhari heartland, because the northerners, they vote in one direction and one direction only. Well, they vote into a pattern really. The Northerners will vote as has been directed by their leaders, which is either their religious leaders or their tribal leaders or whoever the lead is that they follow, and that lead is usually led by religion and ethnicity. So the Northeast, the North Central rather, is predominantly and essentially a tribe and religion based voting mass. So they vote along tribal and religious lines. That's what they do. We all know this. This is not a commentary on what they do. This is just stating the fact of what they do. So if you now go to the Northeast, then you see that repeating there, and then if you go to the Northwest, you also see that repeating there, the pattern that I have described. But then they would not just vote wholly, and so, but even if they voted along those lines, by the way, let me just digress. The two front runners are off and from that region and off and from that religion. So really it's 50-50. It's 2 cuts 4 and that kind of stuff, the sort of language that we use there. So that plays out. So now what they then look is the qualities that they identify within this person to make that decision to vote for him. And the quality that the Northerners tend to look for is religion based and is usually qualities of piety. So they're looking for somebody righteous, and Buhari has always played to that sentiment of Mr. Integrity, and unfortunately for him, Atiku has always been painted as a corrupt man. So that is going to weigh heavily in Buhari's favor, because obviously a religion-led North would look to somebody that is pious rather than somebody that is corrupt. So that weighs the vote in Buhari's favor. The other thing to consider though is all of the goings on that's been going on in the North, in all of the North really, especially in that Middle Belt area, in the Plateaus and the Benues, etc., where you have these herdsmen going in to kill people en masse, with the government doing virtually nothing about it, and Buhari coming out instead to say that the farmers should try and get along with the herders because they all live in the same country, even though the herders are actually going to kill these farmers in their land without provocation, and these farmers have no means of defense. It got to the point that Danjuma had to actually come out of retirement to tell the people to arm themselves, because nobody is going to look after you. President Buhari is a Fulani man. The people that are attacking you are Fulani people, so he's not going to go against these people. So you might as well arm yourself to defend yourself. That's what Danjuma said. So really those votes are not likely to go with Buhari, so we can discount that. And also in places like Borno, where they continue to be killed in spite of all the lies that we are hearing that Boko Haram has been technically defeated. I'm not quite sure what technical defeat means. So there's a lot of those votes that will come out of it as well. Now, a lot of votes also will leave Buhari, because the votes that's always been with Buhari is a vote that's always been of the mindset that if Buhari ever came into power, he has the capacity to fix the country, because he's a man of capacity, he's a no-nonsense man, and he's an honest man. Now, he has been in that position now for 4 years virtually now, and he has done absolutely nothing. The country has worsened, the security has worsened, corruption carries on. Babache Lawal, we all know that case. We saw the Kano governor, etc. I don't really need to recount. Corruption is still alive and thriving in Nigeria, in the Nigerian government, even under this regime. We all know this. So nothing has gotten better, nothing has improved, everything has gotten worse, and everything has depreciated. So now Buhari has now been demythified, because what people thought he was capable of doing, they have shown that he lacks the capacity for doing it. Perhaps he would have been able to do it in the days that he was vying to do it, But in the world that we live now, the world of cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, and borderless countries, Buhari has no clue about this world that we live in. So even if he was willing, and a lot of people would argue that he's not even willing, but even if he was willing, he doesn't really have the capacity to grasp the realities of contemporary times. Buhari is a man in his 80s. He's a man of a certain type of, I would not say he's an uneducated man, because obviously he's had the military education, but he's a man of a certain training, he's a man of a certain mindset, he's a man of the past. So he's not going to, Buhari is not going to plot the direction of travel for the lives of the 30-something-year-old population that fills that country, because he doesn't know what that direction is. And they have not all of them, but a good number of people have come to that realization, and that Buhari really is not really in a position to offer them what they are really looking to get. But the real big fish, of course, in the Northeast is Kano State. So now the play is going to be the play for Kano. Now I've done a separate video on Kano because Kano deserved a standalone video of its own. So I've done that video, and I'll point it in this link, in a pointed link on this video, so you can go watch it. But the play for Kano, because Atiku rather, he has Kwakwanzo, who is a very popular man in Kano State, and Kwakwanzo has the capacity to deliver Kano, and definitely has the capacity to split the vote in Kano, and the vote in Kano will not go en masse to anybody now, because they are not now voting along religious lines with Goodluck Jonathan, a Christian Southerner, and Buhari, a Muslim Northerner. They are voting for Buhari, a Muslim Northerner, or Atiku, a Muslim Northerner. So now they are now having to go vote on their reading of the capacities of these two men, or whatever influence would they are going to fall under. But they now have more now of an individualistic choice rather than a collective choice, because the need for the collective choice is removed, because there's two of their own effectively vying for the post. So now you can vote with your conscience. So that kind of heavy voting, although we all know that it's padded voting, but all those sort of heavy numbers that we saw in Kano in the previous elections, they are not going to be those heavy numbers again, because one, Atiku has Kwakwanzo, and two, Atiku is a northern Muslim. So that is how the figures are going to play out. By my reading, that is, this is just my objective view, but what is your subjective view? Let me know what those views are in the comment section. This is where the conversation takes place on this channel, as you know. So I'll leave you here, and I'll meet you there, and I'll say peace.